I cannot fire this blaster. No matter how hard I try, it is locked. I can't prime it. I can't deactivate the safety. And that's because it's designed this way. This is the Xshot Skins Lock Blaster, and it has a combination lock so that I can, well, fire darts out of it. And you know me, I love a good gimmick on a blaster, so I'm excited about this one. And I really want to see how good the gimmick works of locking it, or exactly like where it locks, so it just gives me a clue as to like how this operates. But to do that, there's a QR code on the back of this blaster that I need to scan to figure out what's up with it. So I gotta grab my phone, we'll go through the steps together, and we'll see what my combination is. And yeah, if you watch this video, you'll know how to use this exact blaster of mine. So I'm gonna record the process. So we're gonna record the process here, and I'm going to scan my face. Now I'm gonna scan the QR code, and we'll see what happens. So I'm going to a website on Zuru Toys. Here we go. You can see, oh, it's a nice little image, and it's going to show me exactly what my number is. It's spinning. This is kind of cool. And it looks like my code is 331. I don't know how many codes are out there. So if you are curious about what codes are out there, hang on, I got to turn this off. And so we are going to go 331. 331. And that should let me... Oh, there we go. Okay, so the safety is deactivated, and it seems like the code is for the safety. Now that the safety is deactivated, I can now prime this blaster and fire it. But the way that this works is that you pull the cylinder out, this is kind of a cool thing. So we're gonna, wait, it told me on the box that I could pull the cylinder out. Let's see what's happening here. No, that's not really working all that well. Huh. Okay, there we go. It's a much heftier spring load. So this piece right here is on a spring, and this is what kind of keeps it all in place. Very interesting mechanism. I'm gonna need some darts. We'll get some very fresh darts, the ones that came in the box, 16 in total, to fire this thing, because I think there's 2, 4, 6, 8, so it fills it up twice. It's great. So Xshot has done these 8-cylinder blasters before, but they've often been very straightforward. So when you're looking at these kind of blasters, it's, what is it, like the Game Over, or like one of the Xshot Skins one, the Last Stand, I think that's what it's called. It's a very reliable blaster. It's one that I really like a lot, and plus with the Skins technology on top of it, it makes it look pretty cool. Now the Lock Blaster has this rusted chain. Now it's kind of interesting that you would have a secure blaster look, but then have rusted chains. To me, that doesn't scream like super secure, but I mean, I get what they're going for, like to lock it down. I just probably would have done without the rust. But overall, like, this looks good. Like, the Skins technology, I'm always a big fan of. Interesting thing to note, though, is that they didn't use it for these lock cylinders. What they used is just a strip of sticker. So that is how that works. I'm going to try to get this back in. How is this going to work? You know, this might not have been the best. I don't really like this. Feels like I'm going to pinch my fingers. Okay, there we go. I kind of got it hooked in. No, this is not working all that well. I don't like this. If you're going to load this blaster, don't remove the cylinder like they recommended on the back of the box. I would skip that part and just load it from the side. There's like these little slide ramps on either side of it that you will bend the dart slightly, but honestly, I'm bending them now and they shouldn't even be in that position. So what is going on here? Come on. I'm struggling. Okay, there we go. Oh, that is crunchy. Don't do that. All right, so here we go. We are going to prime this and fire it. Let's see how this works. Okay, yep. That's a smooth action on the lever. I like that a lot. Okay. So far, I'm liking this. What I want to try now is I want to remove the dial here. So what happens if I do this? Okay, so it's keeping it so that I can't move this when the safety is disengaged. I'm curious. Okay, I'm going to prime it. Primed, pull back, safety engaged, and then dial it 1 to, well, It's 4 now. So can I still fire this thing? You can. So the safety isn't a dart safety, it is the lock safety mechanism piece. So, oop, that is the wrong direction. There we go. So if you're looking for a safety switch on this, you're not going to find it. And I think a lot of that has to do with these are full-length darts. These aren't going too rapid. I wouldn't worry too much about a safety feature on a blaster like this to begin with. But it's just interesting to see that it does say safe and fire, but only what it's doing is locking this. I'm assuming there's like some kind of a combination cylinder lock that has this, probably has like a piece of plastic going through to lock out this button. All right, we got 2 more darts in this thing. Let's fire it off. And I want to try to do the Terminator flip here. How does this work? Oh yeah, that works great. I'll have to practice that for sure. But, okay. Gonna get some more darts through this thing. We'll see how it works, and then I'll give you some of my final thoughts. But so far, the Gimmick, that was like a fun setup. It didn't take too long. It was relatively straightforward. The piece that I would have to worry about, though, is over time, are they going to maintain that website? But it's not our worry right now. We'll talk about that in kind of the final wrap-up. I just need more time with this guy. All right, so I've had some more time with our Xshot Skins Lock Blaster. Here are some of my thoughts about it. So let's start with the locking piece, because that is the main gimmick of this blaster. It's all over like the paint details. It's mentioned in some of the graphics that are printed on here. It says highly confidential, danger, all that kind of stuff. And it even has a decal on the side here where you scan it with your phone or any sort of camera smart device, and it will then show you a video of your combination. And again, mine's 331. It's not that big of a secret, but it is just the beginning of opening this blaster. That's an interesting gimmick. I think we're seeing an attempt at something similar to like Magic Mixies or the Beast Lab stuff where you put in a bunch of ingredients and it's like an unboxing experience. Now for a blaster, that's hard to replicate, but I think Xshot was going for that with the Lock Blaster. But I think that was part of the fun. You open it up, then you scan the code, and then you have access to this blaster. It's all part of the unboxing experience. And is it something that's absolutely needed for this blaster? No. In fact, I would probably like to see a version without this because I really like the lever prime. And honestly, this is just a one-time thing, and then you just set it and forget about it. It doesn't feel integral to the entire blaster, even though it is a fun piece upon purchasing it. But it's just kind of a one-time thing. One major gripe I have about this blaster is this cylinder. You can remove it. I think that is a great idea to have, but the fact that the spring on it is so difficult to like unlatch means that that feature is more hassle than it's worth. There are these ramps here on the side that you can plug darts in rather easily. I was worried that I was going to actually have to bend the darts, but that's not the case at all. This is the much superior way to load the blaster, and it spins freely so it doesn't feel clunky or ratchety. It just feels smooth and good. So like it's cool. Again, it was a cool idea that they put that in there, but in practice it just doesn't work the way I think it's supposed to be intended. And the fact that we don't have extra cylinders that we can swap in and out, not even that you would want to like put a bunch of 8-round cylinders all over yourself or try to find a pouch that would carry enough of them. It spins freely enough, the darts load easily enough that it's not that big of a deal. I suppose like the cool thing here is that you could 3D print a replacement part so that you could use half-length darts out of this thing, but I think for the most part, the full-length darts are sufficient in terms of the power that we're getting from Xshot blasters, which is fairly responsive, fairly snappy. And when we fire this thing, you get a good pop out of it, and the firing mechanism of the lever, where you kick it out, is good. It's not too difficult, but it feels weighty enough that you have a sense that there is more power than just a traditional or at least an older blaster that would have an 8-round cylinder. And I like that there's some visual cohesion coming around the Xshot Skins line, or at least the initial launches of Xshot Skins blasters, because here we have the Lock Blaster, and here we have the Fury X. Now this one came out before the Fury X, but I hadn't had a chance to pick this one up yet, but the Fury X was sent out to me by Xshot. But you can see there is a lot of similarity here. They're picking up a lot of reds, they're picking up a lot of futuristic military style looks on it, but also a sense of weathering. This one feels a little more lived in, this one feels a little more used, and for the most part I like it. But when it comes to the lock, the chain that's supposed to signify that this is like a locked down blaster, I could have done without the rust on the chains. It's a small, minor nitpick, but I think it just doesn't signal what they want to in terms of everything else about this blaster. Some of the weathering, like right around here, a little grungy looking, I think that works, but rust, that signifies weakness, or that something's been old and used. I don't think you'd want that on a brand new blaster. So I wonder how many in total codes there are for these blasters. I'm guessing probably no more than a dozen. You wouldn't want to have like a ton. You wouldn't want to have to keep a database of a ton of them and then key these in a different way. You would want the production to run, I would say, fairly smoothly for something like this, even with an element of random chance. So yeah, interesting thing. Let me know what your code is. If you have this blaster, you know, it's not a big secret, right? Like, if you feel comfortable sharing your code for your Xshot Skins Lock Blaster, put it in the comment section. I'm curious to see just how many there are. You can see mine, 331. How many others are there? But the overall style of this, I really, really like. The lever prime doesn't get enough attention when we're talking about foam dart blasters, and to have another lever prime blaster in my arsenal is fun. I like these, and you can always do the cool maneuver and fire off darts that way. It's just, you know, a little razzle dazzle here and there. So to sum it all up, I like the first time unboxing of this, where you activate the code, or it's not really an activation of the code, it's a reveal of the code so that you can unlock your blaster. But then after that, it feels like that mechanic, that gimmick, is over. For the most part, I really like the look of the design on this. So the skins printing on here looks great. I'm not a big fan of the rust on the chains. I think the chains should have stayed, but don't like the rust. And when it comes to the loading of the blaster, keeping the cylinder in place is going to be crucial. I do not like popping this thing out. That was so cumbersome. Maybe there's a trick that I didn't notice, but I followed the back of the box instructions. There's plenty of room just to load them on through the ramps right here by the chains. It's just load it this way. Do not remove the cylinder, even though it's a possibility. So yes, Xshot, please keep making lever prime blasters. Very fun. I like the idea behind the gimmick. I wish it would be something a little more impactful for the duration of the blaster. We've seen this in Nerf, right? We've seen this in Nerf with the Rebel Secrets and Spies. There was a crossbow with a code crossbow code. I think that might have been even the name of it, where you would have to unlock the trigger, which it felt like a little more impactful because you weren't just locking a singular button. But again, like, A for effort on that one. Good gimmick, but it was just kind of a single-use thing. And I hope they maintain the website, because think about it, years in the future, 20 years in the future, we are still using some blasters from 20 years ago. Are they going to maintain this website with the codes on it? I don't know. And then at that point, how do you basically pick the lock on this thing? I would just say you'd never activate the safety so that it would lock again. Guessing you could probably open this up and just remove all the parts too. It seems very non-critical to the blaster functioning, but that is just a guess at this point. You'd have to find another video, and I'm sure those exist out there about exactly what to do if you've lost your code or the sticker gets worn off, or I don't know. That's my overall thoughts about the Xshot Skins Lock Blaster. Very interesting, and I love going over blasters. I talk a lot about blasters. I talk a lot about action figures, collectibles, pop culture. Anything action related, you can stay tuned to the Ri-Fi channel. And to stay tuned, you have to hit that subscribe button. So that's all I know about the Xshot Skins Lock Blaster. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you next time.